Well, today we have we have an Angels aficionado. We have Jeff Fletcher on. He's going to sit there and talk to us about the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We're going to talk about the upcoming series a little bit. We got a 4-game series coming up starting on Friday. Man, Jeff, how's it going? You want to sit there and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. The Angels obviously have been a really interesting team the last few years because they got Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and they can't seem to figure out how to win. So that is definitely a thing that keeps me busy. This is my 11th year covering the team, so I'm looking for a different story to write. Hopefully, one of these years, but until then, at least we have Shohei Ohtani, so he's entertaining.
Yeah. Oh man, how I just got to ask, how is it to sit there and be able to cover the Angels and know that, man, you have two of the greatest baseball players on earth, not just in the major league, on earth, on your team?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see the things that both Trout and Ohtani do. And I mean, Trout gets kind of buried now because of Ohtani and because he's been doing it for so long. But I think if you kind of compare him to like what I call sort of the garden variety superstars, guys like Mookie Betts or Nolan Arenado or these type guys, and every once in a while they'll have a bad year. Mike Trout never has a bad year, so that's what makes him special. And Ohtani, obviously, he pitches and hits. Nobody else does that, and he's really good at both. He's not just like glorified Michael Lorenzen, kind of running out there and doing both. So, and he's taken it to an even higher level as a pitcher this year. He's one of the top pitchers in all of baseball, and he's a middle of the order hitter, and that's just something that nobody alive has ever seen.
Yeah. So let's just dive into this 4-game series. On Friday, you guys are throwing out Sandoval, and we're throwing out Tanner Houck. Tell everybody a little bit about Sandoval and what can we expect on Friday.
Well, Sandoval has been a guy. He's had 2 good years in a row. He had about a 3.80 ERA in 21, and then last year he cut it to like 2.90. And he pitched in the WBC for Mexico, and he pitched against the U.S. and Japan. And he was pretty good in both those games. They gave up 1 run combined. So he's really a guy that's kind of under the radar, but he is definitely the Angels' second best pitcher. And he throws a really good slider and a changeup. Fastball is not his best pitch, not the best velocity either, and not his best command. So the trick is to get the fastball over for strikes and then open it up for those other 2 pitches. And if he does that, then he's really good.
Yeah, he's going up against Tanner Houck. He had 2 decent outings so far. He's 2-0 with a 4.5 ERA. But Houck has a small problem I always ended up seeing with once he gets through the lineup second time around, it's really crazy because then all of a sudden he starts getting hit and rocked. I always thought that Houck belonged in the bullpen, with the role he was at for the last season and the season before, where he was just a long middle reliever. And, where starting pitch depth is a little bit, shaky. We just got Whitlock back. We got Paxton and Bayo, coming back soon. So hopefully we get to see Tanner Houck a little bit, going back to that role a little bit. I think the matchup's going to be pretty consistent as long as the Red Sox bats are, awake, because that seems to be our problem right now, especially in the Tampa series we're having problems with. On Saturday, you guys are throwing out Anderson. We got Nick Pivetta. Tell everybody a little bit about Anderson.
Well, Tyler Anderson was a guy that was kind of a fringy major league starter for most of his career. And then he went to the Dodgers last year, and the Dodgers just sort of magically make everybody good. And he had a great year. He was an all-star, 2.50 ERA, something like that. And then the Angels signed him to a 3-year deal. His first start against the A's, granted a pretty bad team. He pitched 6 scoreless innings. His next outing against Toronto, obviously a pretty good team, and they hit him around a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this time. I don't think anybody expects he's going to have a 2.50 ERA like he did last year, because he's never really been that good before. But if he just has, a 3.50 ERA, then that would be, pretty good as their number 3 starter.
Yeah, especially on, if he can pull a 3.50 ERA with you guys going into like a playoff, a wild card round, like you have Shohei, then you guys have
Sandoval would be number 2.
Sandoval would be number 2. Like you guys, that'll be a decent 1-2-3 going in for you guys. We have Tanner Houck going Friday, but then we got Pivetta. Pivetta has been doing really well for us so far this year. He has a .90 ERA. It's just he's not getting the run support that he rightfully deserves. He's going out there eating some innings, getting the strikeouts that he needs and making the plays. Our team just can't, seem to find the ball when they're swinging, when he's pitching. Like I don't understand it at all. Going into this matchup. But that's gonna be a Saturday. That's gonna be a 4:10 game. So with you, you're 3 hours behind us out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but on Sunday, we don't know who, ours is to be determined. You guys got Detmers going. Tell everybody a little bit about Detmers.
Detmers last year was his first full year in the big leagues. He pitched a no-hitter in May, and then he kind of hit a rough spot, and they sent him down to the minors. And when he was in the minors, he basically tweaked one thing, and it made his slider a lot better. And he came back, and he was really good the second half. He increased his velocity a lot this year, and so he's sort of one of those sneaky breakout candidates. I'm sure a lot of people in fantasy leagues were like looking to grab him because they thought that he might kind of really have a big year, but his first 2 starts have been sort of kind of mediocre. His last game against Toronto, he had 5 scoreless innings. Everything was going perfect. And then, boom, he gave a grand slam in the 6th. So, that was kind of a up and down game. But I think he still should be pretty good.
Yeah. And Monday, that's the game that I'm, can't wait. It's always the Marathon Monday. It's an 11:10 game. You guys are pitching Shohei Ohtani. Like, that there just is a statement. If I lived in Boston, that would be the game that I would want to go to, especially being Marathon Monday. Seeing a phenom like Ohtani live, he's just like you said, he's a phenom. No one's ever been able to just do what he's been doing on a consistent basis, and man, it's really crazy.
Yeah, he pitched what I think was one of his best games in the big leagues in Boston last year. He, I think it was 7 scoreless innings, and he threw like 75% strikes. So it was a really good game, and he also had a couple hits too. So that was still one of his better performances last year in Boston.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's switch sides. Let's go to the pitching, over to the batters. So you guys' lineup is pretty decent, I think. Well, tell everybody about the lineup from top to bottom, what to expect, and if there's any of those up and coming guys for us to watch in the series.
Yeah, I mean, their leadoff man's Taylor Ward, who kind of had a breakthrough last season. He had like over 1,000 OPS in May until he hurt his shoulder, and then he kept playing through it, and he kind of slumped through the middle of the year, and then he finished with like a 950 in September. So he's a guy that looks like he's going to be a pretty solid player, 800 OPS type guy. And then you go Trout hits second, Ohtani hits third, Anthony Rendon fourth, who could be good when he's healthy. He's healthy right now, so we'll see. And then Hunter Renfroe, who you guys remember from Boston from a couple of years ago. He's their number 5 hitter, the right fielder. And they got Brandon Drury, who's been playing first base. He has had a really nice kind of come out of nowhere season last year with the Reds and the Padres. Hit 28 homers. Then Gio Urshela is their shortstop for the most part now. He's pretty much does the same thing every year. Luis Rengifo is their second baseman. He also had a kind of a nice breakthrough this year. He started off this year a little bit slow. We'll see what he does. And then Logan O'Hoppe is their catcher. He's a rookie. They got him in the Brandon Marsh trade last year. And he reminds me of Buster Posey. And I covered the Giants when Buster Posey first came up. He's like, from the first day he walked in the door, he looks ready to be a leader. He's leading the team in RBIs. He's leading the team in home runs. I certainly don't expect that to keep up all year, with the other guys in the lineup, but he's a catcher who can handle the pitchers and produces offensively. And he's got a lot of leadership qualities. So I think he's a really good player for the long run. And I don't think he's going to be hitting ninth too much longer. But that's pretty much their lineup. It's a lot deeper than it was last year. Last year, their biggest problem was their lineup was just Trout and Ohtani, and then nobody else, and they just couldn't score enough runs. This year, they should be able to, even those innings that it's, 7, 8, 9 are hitting, they should still be able to, put some balls in play, get some hits, and get things going to get to the top of the lineup. So that should all be better this year.
Yeah, man, especially over in that division you guys have. Texas went and revamped up. You always have the Astros. So you guys are fighting, pretty much this year, especially to try to keep Ohtani. It could be a make or break thing of are all your ducks in a row and everything. With the rookie catcher coming up, how well is he doing calling games? Especially coming in, over in Baltimore, like Rushman, he came in, he was excellent at calling games with the veteran pitchers. How does he look so far being able to call the games?
So far, so good. I mean, the pitchers seem to really like him. Ohtani loves working with him. He's basically like Ohtani's personal catcher now. Tyler Anderson really likes him, and he's a guy who's been around and worked with a lot of different catchers. So, it's 12 games, but their overall pitching has been pretty good for the most part, except for a couple games. And so I think you got to give him some of the credit for that.
Yeah. So lineup wise, I think you guys are doing a lot better than us. On paper, we're looking really good, but as of lately, we've been slumping all over the board. Our two high points are Alex Verdugo and Devers. Duvall, when he went down with the injury, it was kind of a fluke injury, and we're in panic mode of, okay, who do we go to and send out there? We can send Ref Snyder out there. We can put Tapia out there. We can move people. Like tonight, we're trying Bobby Dahlbeck at shortstop, major league shortstop playing. And that just surprises me just so we can put Kike out and play center field. So it's a little bit chaos here, but it's still early. It's 2 weeks, into the season. No need to panic mode yet. Let's go and dive into your guys' bullpen. I know the Red Sox in the offseason, that was one of our key things that we went and kind of rebuilt from the bottom up. Kenley Jansen, Martin, we got Schreiber back there. We got Winkowski doing some long relief for us, and he's been doing really, really good. Talk about the Angels bullpen for a little bit.
Well, that's their biggest question mark. I mean, coming into the year, people thought that was going to be the question mark, and so far it has. They're 7-5 right now, and basically 4 of the games that they lost, they had a lead, and 3 of those games the bullpen gave up the lead. One of them, the starter gave up the lead, but that's just it's been a question mark. They don't really have a guy who's definitely the closer. They got Carlos Estevez, who they signed from the Rockies, who I think was kind of the first option, and he's been okay. He's walked a few guys, and then after that, it's Jose Quijada is a guy that sort of pitches well at times. Other times he has some blow-ups, and they got Ryan Tepera, Aaron Loop, Jimmy Herget. These are all guys that have their moments, but they also have some issues. So I would say that's definitely their weak link right now.
Oh, man. I would love to sit there and just take your starting pitching staff over to the Red Sox right now with our bullpen. But let's sit there and dive into some upcoming prospects. Who do you guys have that we could see this season? Maybe not this series, but maybe when we play you guys again in May.
I don't know if any of these guys are going to be up by May, but they've got Zach Neto as a shortstop, was their number 1 pick last year, and he went pretty much straight to Double-A just out of college, and he performed really well, and now he's started back this year in Double-A, and he's doing pretty well again. So he's a guy that I could see up, in September maybe, certainly sometime next year. They got a pitcher, Ben Joyce from the University of Tennessee. They drafted him in the third round last year. He threw 105 once last season in college.
Wow.
And in spring training, he hit 104. And he's consistently like 101. But his problem is he has a little control issue. So, but once he can work that out, obviously he's going to be a big league, high leverage reliever. So they also got a pitcher named Sam Bachman, who was a first round pick in 2021. And he's also in Double-A. He also got some time in spring training. It looks like he could be pretty good as a starter. I don't know if we would see him at all this year. If they do see him this year, it'd probably be like as a reliever. But those are pretty much the top guys who are going to be making an impact within, a year or so.
And of course, over the Red Sox side, we got Rafaela, we got Marcelo Meyer, we got Valdez that we got in the trade over there in Houston. I think we're going to see him sooner than later coming up. So let's play a little devil's advocate here real quick. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. You guys name that one player on the Red Sox you do not want to see at bat.
It's got to be Devers, right? I mean, he's the best player. So I don't know. From afar, I don't know who people think is like good and quote unquote in the clutch, but I would just say the best player is the guy that I would least want to see.
Yeah, me personally, of course you got to say Trout and Ohtani, but I've seen Hunter Renfroe and what he can do, and man, he can sit there and take 1 yard really quick if you misplace that ball.
He had a game-tying hit in the bottom of the ninth on Sunday. They had this crazy game against the Blue Jays where they were up 6-0, and then they were down 10-6, and they tied at 10-10 in the ninth inning, and Renfroe had the game-tying hit in the ninth. So,
yeah, you guys got a solid player out there with Renfroe. I was kind of sad to see him go, especially when he just produced power after power hit after power hit, up there in Boston. And Fenway Park, I think, was made for him, Let's sit there and talk real quick. Who can you pick from the Angels to be the series MVP in a 4-game series with the Red Sox?
I mean, it's got to be Ohtani because he's going to pitch one of the games and he's going to hit all 4. So he's going to have the most opportunities to have an impact.
Okay, and for the people that listen here to the Pesky Podcast, let's talk Shohei Ohtani real quick. Like, what is it like, the atmosphere, in the ballpark, to see him pitch, and then the next inning, if he's up to bat, to see him get ready, to go straight to the on deck circle?
Yeah, I mean, the attendance is probably like 30% higher on days that he pitches, and it's just really exciting. Lots of people come out, lots of Japanese fans come out. There's even some people that aren't really hardcore baseball fans, but they just want to see Ohtani because they know that he's, not like other baseball players. So it's definitely cool. You definitely have to remind yourself when you're watching him how special it is. Just the fact that, we're so used to there are really good hitters and there are really good pitchers, but there are 0 people that are both. So for him to do both of those things is just really unbelievable. And again, it's not just, I remember hearing this last year when there was a big debate about Aaron Judge versus Ohtani for the MVP, and a lot of the people that were arguing will say, "Oh, does he get it just because he pitches and hits? Does that mean he's going to get the MVP every year?" And I would say, like, no, it's because he pitches and hits really well. He's not just, a number 4 starter who bats 7th. He's the ace, and he bats 3rd. So that's amazing. So anyway, it's just people should get out and see him. And if you want to read about him, I wrote a book about him called Showtime, the inside story of Shohei Ohtani and the greatest baseball season ever played. It takes his whole baseball journey up through the 21 season and kind of will catch everybody up. So I think everybody should hop on Amazon or go to Barnes & Noble or whatever and pick it up.
Yeah, I'll make sure I sit there and plug that on Twitter. I'll plug it on the Pesky Podcast because, man, it's just – and I always love debating with people of the MVP thing. My thing has always been MVP stands for most valuable player, not only on the team but the league. Like what he does, no one else can replicate. And he does it consistently. So he is your guys' and possibly baseball's most valuable player overall. And you guys, you guys got him, and you got Trout. You got two of possibly the top three best baseball players on the planet.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty good. They need a few more though. The problem is they have too many players that were really bad last year, and they need to have just some more guys that are just average.
Yeah, or you just need 4 more Shoheis.
There you go. That would be nice.
But Jeff, I'll let you sit there and plug where people can find you at. If you want to plug your book again, go ahead. The floor is yours right here.
My Twitter is probably the best way to get linked to everything, to my stories and the book. It's Jeff Fletcher OCR. It's Orange County Register. And if you go on there, you'll get links to all the stories I write. And my Twitter bio has links to the book, which has all kinds of information about where to buy it.
Okay, Jeff. Hey, thanks a lot. And I can't wait for May when we get to have you come back on. And final prediction, 4-game series. What are you predicting the series split to be?
I think in general, the safest bet on a 4-game series is 2-2. So I'm going to play it safe. I'll say that.
Normally, that's what I did with when we did the Tampa series, but I'm going to be a little more realistic. I'm going to go 1-3 for the Red Sox. If the way things are going, if we can pull 1 out of the 3, man, it's gonna be good for us. So, but Jeff, thanks for stopping by. I can't wait to sit there and talk to you again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Take care, Jeff.